church doors opened and my heart stopped. Every head turned, every camera flash sparkled, and there she was, Mia, my sister, walking down the aisle in my wedding dress. I froze. My hands shook against the pew as I watched her glide forward, the same silk I had chosen, the same lace I had stitched by hand, my lace. The dress I had designed for my own wedding, now hugging her body like it belonged to her. For a second, I thought I was hallucinating. The music swelled, the guests smiled, and my mother dabbed her eyes with pride. But then Mia looked directly at me. And she smirked. That tiny, cruel curve of her lips ripped the breath from my chest. She knew what she'd done. She wanted me to see it. And standing beside her, my ex-fiancé, Evan, the man who once promised me forever, smiled like the world made sense again. Something inside me shattered. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I stood perfectly still as the crowd rose to its feet for the woman wearing the dress that once symbolized my happiness. And right then I made a silent promise. This isn't the end. It's the start of her unraveling. When the ceremony ended, people flooded around her, praising her gown. "It's stunning, Mia. Where did you get it?" She laughed softly, letting her fingers brush the embroidered lace near her waist. "Oh, it's custom. My design. My design." I walked toward her slowly, the air thick with perfume and lies. She turned, her blue eyes sparkling. "Lauren," she said sweetly, "you made it." I forced a smile. "Wouldn't miss it." Her gaze flicked down my plain beige dress, then back up to my face. "I hope there are no hard feelings," she whispered. "You weren't using it anyway." The guests chuckled nearby, not understanding what she meant. But she knew I did. Mom joined us, beaming. "Don't start, girls. Let's not ruin the day." Mia leaned in closer. "Relax, little sister. You always said this dress deserved a perfect wedding." I stared straight into her smug, painted face and whispered, "Then I hope you're ready for what perfect really costs." She blinked, confused. But I smiled. I'd never been calmer in my life. The moment I stepped outside the church, the air hit me like ice. My body trembled, but not from cold. From humiliation. From betrayal so sharp it almost felt unreal. How could she do this? That dress wasn't just fabric, it was mine. Every stitch carried something personal. The lace from Grandma's handkerchief, the pearls I bought with my first paycheck, the initials I'd sewn into the hem, L for Lauren Pierce. And she wore it like a crown. I sat alone in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. Crowds' laughter echoed in my head. "You weren't using it anyway." That line burned. Then, like a whisper in my mind, came something else. "Don't react." If I had learned anything growing up with Mia, it was this. She thrived on chaos. She loved the spotlight, even if it meant burning someone else alive to keep herself glowing. So I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of my rage. I'd give her something better, silence. 'Cause silence in the right hands can be terrifying. That's when the idea began to form. Small. Sharp. Perfect. That night, I sat on my couch staring at the photo she had already posted online. Her smiling in the dress, Evan holding her hand, the caption, "The perfect day in my dream gown, 2 hearts." Comments poured in. "Fairy tale. You look stunning. Mia, you have amazing taste." I scrolled until my vision blurred, my heart beating unevenly. My phone buzzed, a message from my mother. "Mom, don't be upset. She didn't mean to hurt you. She just loved the dress. Loved it enough to steal it. Loved it enough to rip apart my memories and wear them like accessories." I put the phone down and whispered to myself, "You'll see." Because Mia thought she'd humiliated me. She thought she'd destroyed me. But she had no idea that I had a plan, one that didn't need shouting or revenge posts. It only needed one thing, her own arrogance. My name is Lauren Pierce, and for most of my life I've been the quiet sister. The fixer. Peacemaker. When we were little, Mia was the golden one, the girl everyone praised. I was sweet Lauren, the one who made her bed, shared her snacks, and apologized for things she didn't do. She used to sneak into my room and steal my clothes. I'd complain and Mom would say, "She just looks up to you." When she ruined my favorite dress before prom, Mom laughed and said, "At least she looks cute." I learned early that fairness didn't exist in our house. Only Mia's happiness did. When I met Evan, she pretended to like him. But after he left me, with no real explanation, I found out they'd been talking behind my back for months. Mom called it bad timing. Dad stayed silent. And Mia? She smiled like a cat that swallowed the canary. So when I saw her in my dress, marrying my ex, it felt like the universe was screaming at me to finally stop being quiet. And for the first time, I listened. I wasn't going to destroy her with anger. I was going to let her destroy herself, beautifully, publicly, and completely. 2 days before Mia's wedding, I walked into my room humming, ready to take my dress for its final fitting. Closet door swung open, empty. The hanger dangled by one twisted wire. A single pearl button lay on the floor like a dropped tear. My stomach turned to ice. I tore through every corner of the room, praying it had slipped somewhere, that maybe Mom had taken it for pressing. But I knew. I called Mia. No answer. Texted her. Nothing. When I asked Mom, her voice tightened. "Don't worry, honey. I'll check with her. Maybe the tailor." "The tailor finished it yesterday," I said quietly. Silence. That night I sat on my bed, holding Grandma's lace handkerchief, the one I had sewn into the lining. The smell of lavender still clung to it. I pressed it against my face and cried for the first time in years. Then my phone buzzed. A group chat photo from Mia, smiling in front of a mirror, the caption, "Final fitting. Can't believe how perfect it is." The mirror behind her caught a glimpse of the lace. My lace. I drove straight to my parents' house, the night air thick with anger. Mia sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, still in my dress. "You're early," she said without looking up. "Take it off," I said, my voice shaking. Mom appeared from the kitchen, hands raised. "Lauren, calm down. We can talk." She stole my dress. Mia finally looked up, her eyes glinting. "Oh, relax. You weren't using it. It was mine." "You canceled your wedding, remember?" she snapped. "So technically, you don't need a wedding dress." The room spun. Mom muttered something about sharing. Dad just stared at the TV. I stepped closer. "You knew this dress was made from Grandma's lace." Mia shrugged. "Then she'll be with me on my big day." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then I straightened. "You can have the dress," I said softly. "But one day you'll wish you hadn't." Her laugh followed me out the door. It was the last time she'd ever laugh at me. Everyone thought I broke down after that. I didn't. I shut down. For the next 2 days, I stayed silent, ignoring calls, ignoring pity. Anger drained away, replaced by a strange calm. I went through my drawers, pulling out every sketch, every receipt, every photo from the boutique where I'd commissioned the gown. Each document carried my name, Lauren Pierce. Then I noticed something on my sewing kit, a small scrap of the original fabric I'd kept for alterations. An idea began to flicker. If Mia wanted my story so badly, I'd let her wear it, in front of the whole world. But first, I needed proof that the dress was legally, unmistakably mine. The next morning, I sent a polite email to the boutique. Could I get copies of my invoice for insurance? Within minutes, they replied, "Of course, Miss Pierce. Your sister already picked up the gown on your behalf. We assumed she had your permission." I smiled for the first time in days. Perfect. That evening, I scrolled through Mia's pre-wedding photo shoot on social media. She'd hired a professional photographer, ironically the same one I had booked for my own canceled wedding. Pictures were everywhere. Mia in my dress, laughing beside Evan, standing under a white gazebo. Comments poured in. What a dream gown! She's glowing! Where can I get this design? One comment asked, Did you design it yourself? Mia replied, Yes, 2 hearts, all my idea. I could almost hear Grandma's voice in my head, calm and steady. You don't have to shout for the truth, darling. It always finds its way out. So I didn't shout. I simply emailed the photographer. I reminded him I was his original client, that my initials were embroidered inside the lace lining. Just keep an eye on that detail during editing, I wrote. He replied, Noted. That's interesting. By the time I closed my laptop, my heartbeat had slowed to something even and cold. Let her wedding be perfect. I wanted every flash, every lens, every smile to capture the lie exactly as it was. The rehearsal dinner was the night before the wedding. I wasn't invited, but I went anyway. The restaurant shimmered with fairy lights. When I walked in, heads turned. Mia nearly dropped her champagne glass. Lauren! Mom gasped. What are you doing here? I smiled politely. Just came to wish my sister good luck. Mia recovered quickly, brushing a curl behind her ear. How sweet of you. I didn't think you'd want to come. Oh, I wouldn't miss it, I said. Evan glanced at me uneasily. For a moment our eyes met, just long enough for him to look away. Mia leaned closer. Don't start drama, please. This is supposed to be happy. I nodded. Of course. I'm done fighting. Then I hugged her tightly, my lips near her ear. Enjoy your perfect day, I whispered. I hope the photos come out flawless. She pulled back, confusion flickering across her face. I smiled wider. See you tomorrow. As I walked out into the cool night air, I could almost hear Grandma's lace rustling in the wind. Trap was set. The morning of the wedding felt almost too peaceful. Sunlight slipped through the blinds, soft and gold, like it didn't know what was coming. I dressed in a simple blue gown, Grandma's favorite color, and tied my hair back. No makeup, no jewelry. I wasn't there to shine. I was there to watch. Mom had left a message asking me not to come. It'll only make things worse, she'd said. But worse for who? By the time I arrived at the chapel, people were already gathering. Laughter, perfume, white petals scattered on the floor. Mia stood at the entrance surrounded by bridesmaids, radiant and smug. My dress shimmered under the lights, hugging her like it belonged to her. When she saw me, her smile faltered. Lauren, what are you doing here? Just here to celebrate, I said softly. You look breathtaking. Her jaw tightened. Thanks. You did something different to the lace, I added, my tone gentle. She blinked. What do you mean? Oh, nothing. Just it catches the light beautifully. I turned and walked to my seat before she could ask more. As the organ began to play, I felt my chest rise and fall in slow, steady breaths. No shouting. No chaos. Just truth, quiet and patient, waiting for its cue. The ceremony unfolded like a movie. Soft music, perfect lighting, vows rehearsed 100 times. Evan looked nervous but enchanted, staring at Mia as if she were a dream. I watched every moment through glassy eyes. It was like seeing my own future, rewritten, repainted, stolen. Then came the kiss. The guests clapped. Cameras flashed. And there it was. The flash. For a split second, I saw it reflected on the large screen where live photos were being displayed. The underside of her gown caught mid-turn, the lace lining glowing in the camera's glare. My initials, LP, stitched neatly in silver thread right above her hem. A few guests whispered. The photographer frowned at his monitor. I sat perfectly still, heart pounding but expression calm. Mia didn't notice. She was busy posing, soaking in applause. But the lens had already done its job. Every picture, every angle, every lie recorded in high definition. When the couple walked down the aisle, I whispered to myself, "Smile for the camera, Mia." You'll want to remember this day. And she would. For the rest of her life. The reception was a blur of music and wine. I kept my distance, watching from the back as Mia twirled and laughed. Every so often she'd glance my way. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe fear. Either way, it didn't matter. The photographer, Eric, walked up to me quietly. "Lauren," he said, lowering his voice. "You were right." I smiled. "The embroidery?" He nodded. "It's in every shot. You want me to edit it out?" I tilted my head. "No. Leave it. Art should be honest, don't you think?" He hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Okay." Hours later, I slipped away before the cake cutting. I didn't need to see any more. The damage was already done. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd gone too far or not far enough. Then my phone buzzed. Eric, photographer preview gallery uploaded. A link sent to the couple. I stared at the message, my pulse steady. Somewhere across town, Mia was probably opening that same link, smiling. Until she saw it. The signature she'd tried to erase, gleaming beneath her veil like a secret screaming to be heard. The next morning, the world was chaos. My phone lit up with messages before I even opened my eyes. "Mom, Lauren, what did you do?" "Dad, call your sister now." My cousin, "Oh my God, did you see Facebook?" I opened it. Photos were everywhere. First, they looked normal, romantic, cinematic. But in the zoomed-in reposts, the truth burned bright. The embroidered lace with LP stitched clearly near the hem. Comments flooded in. "Wait, whose initials are those? Did she wear her sister's dress? This is the same design Lauren posted last year." Then came the comparisons, side-by-side photos of me from my old engagement shoot standing in that exact dress. Mia's comment section exploded. She tried to delete posts, but it was too late. Screenshots had spread like wildfire. By noon, someone on TikTok made a side-by-side slideshow titled, "She Stole Her Sister's Wedding Dress, Loudly Crying Face Skull." Millions of views. Thousands of comments. The world had seen the lace. And no filter could hide it now. I didn't pick up any calls that day. Not from Mom. Not from Evan. Not from Mia. I just sat by my window with a cup of tea, watching rain streak the glass. It wasn't joy I felt, it was something quieter. Like peace mixed with sorrow. By evening, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Mia standing there, drenched and trembling, mascara streaked down her cheeks. "How could you?" she whispered. "You ruined my life." I looked at her, calm. "You wore my dress." "I didn't know it would." "Didn't know what?" I interrupted softly. "That the truth would show?" She sank onto my porch, crying. "People are calling me a thief." Evan's furious. "Sponsors canceled our honeymoon deals. Everything's gone." I sighed. "I told you that day you'd wish you hadn't taken it." Mia looked up at me, her voice breaking. "Why couldn't you just let me have this?" "Because you already had everything," I said quietly. "And still you wanted what was mine." For a moment, only the rain answered. Then I stepped inside, leaving the door half open. "You should get out of the rain." Whether she did or not, I never checked. For 2 days, I stayed silent. The world wasn't. Every social feed I opened was filled with my sister's name. Bride wears her sister's dress. Family drama unfolds in viral wedding photos. Comments were ruthless. Some mocked, others sympathized. But none defended her. Mom came over that evening, looking exhausted. "Lauren, you need to fix this." "She's your sister." I met her gaze. "Mom," she took my dress. "My wedding. My peace. What do you want me to fix?" Her lips trembled. "Family is family." "Was it?" I whispered. "When you told me to let her have it, was I family then?" She had no answer. just tears she couldn't justify. After she left, I sat alone in the quiet, letting the reality sink in. This wasn't about a dress anymore. It was about years of being told to step aside, to make room for her sparkle. But I wasn't stepping aside anymore. This time I was standing still and letting the truth speak louder than I ever could. Evan called that night. I almost didn't answer. "Lauren," his voice cracked through the static, "I didn't know she stole it." "I swear I didn't." "I believe you," I said flatly. "But you married her, didn't you?" He exhaled hard. "She told me she had the designer recreate something similar. I didn't even recognize it until the photos." There was a pause, thick, uncomfortable. "I'm sorry," he said. "You didn't deserve any of this." I closed my eyes, remembering how he'd once held my hand under that same church ceiling. "No, Evan," I said quietly, "I didn't. But maybe she does." He tried to say more, but I hung up gently. Not out of anger, but finality. That call wasn't about forgiveness. It was about closure. And for the first time, it didn't ache. By the third week, the story had gone from gossip to legend. People stopped Mia in stores not to congratulate her, but to stare. Her bridal shop endorsements vanished overnight. The company pulled her ad saying, "We don't condone plagiarism." Meanwhile, local news picked it up as a family scandal turned viral morality tale. And through it all, I said nothing. One morning, I got a text from Grandma's old friend, Mrs. Bloom, the seamstress who'd helped me sew the dress. She wrote, "That lace had a soul, sweetheart. It only wanted to be worn by the right heart." I cried quietly reading that. Not from joy. From release. Because for once, the story wasn't twisted against me. People saw what really happened. And it felt healing. A week later, Mia showed up at my apartment again. No makeup. No camera-ready smile. "I can't go anywhere," she said. "People whisper. Stores refuse service. Evan won't speak to me. I'm living with consequences," I said gently. Her voice broke. "I lost everything." "No," I replied softly. "You just finally lost what wasn't yours." She sank onto my couch, sobbing. "Why didn't you stop me when you knew I'd take it?" "Because you needed to see what it's like to lose something real," I said. She looked up, eyes red. "You hate me." I shook my head. "I don't. I pity you." Then I handed her a folded paper, one of the old sketches I'd made of the dress years ago. "This is the last thing I'll ever give you. Not out of love. Out of closure." She took it in silence, and I could tell she finally understood what no words could teach. Months passed. The world moved on as it always does. But my world finally felt quiet again. I started teaching art classes at a community center. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. Kids laughed, painted, spilled colors everywhere, and for the first time in years, my life wasn't measured in comparison to someone else's. Then one afternoon, as I cleaned brushes, I got a message request on Instagram. It was from a bridal magazine. They'd seen the viral story. They wanted to feature me, not as the sister whose dress was stolen, but as the woman who designed a gown that told the truth. I stared at the screen for a long moment before typing back. "Only if we tell it the right way. No drama. No bitterness. Just the truth, stitched into fabric, worn by the right heart at the right time." For the first time, the story felt like mine again. Spring came early that year. The air smelled like forgiveness, but not the kind you give away. The kind you earn. I was painting in the studio when Mom walked in. I hadn't seen her in months. She looked smaller somehow. The confident mother who'd always chosen sides now just looked tired. "Lauren," she said softly, "I saw your interview. You spoke so kindly about your sister." I put down my brush. "She's still family." Her eyes filled. "I should have protected you back then." I thought keeping peace meant silencing the truth. I wiped my hands on my apron and hugged her, genuinely. You can't change the past, Mom. But you can stop pretending she didn't hurt me. She nodded, crying into my shoulder. For years I'd waited for this, validation, not revenge. And it was finally here, warm and human. When she left, I looked at the half-finished canvas. It was a woman standing alone in a storm, her veil flying away like wings. For the first time, I smiled. The storm wasn't destroying her, it was freeing her. The magazine feature dropped that weekend. Headline: The Dress That Told the Truth. It wasn't about scandal, it was about art, boundaries, and sisterhood gone wrong. The photos were elegant, my sketches, the lace detail, even the silver initials shining proudly. People commented things like, "She turned pain into purpose," and "This story healed something in me." I scrolled through every word, tears sliding down without permission. That night, I got a message from a woman named Julia. "Your story gave me courage to stand up to my sister." Thank you. I realized then that my revenge had transformed into something larger. It wasn't about exposing Mia anymore. It was about reminding women that silence isn't kindness, it's surrender. And I wasn't surrendering anymore. 2 weeks later, I saw Mia again. She showed up quietly at one of my art classes. Her hair was shorter. Her eyes had lost that glassy confidence. She waited until the room emptied before approaching. "I saw your article," she said softly. "You didn't trash me." "I said the truth," I replied. She swallowed. "You could have destroyed me, but you didn't." I looked at her carefully. "You already destroyed yourself, Mia. I just stopped cleaning up after you." She nodded, tears welling. "I'm trying to start over." I applied to volunteer at the shelter downtown. "That's good," I said. "Start small. Be kind." As she turned to leave, she stopped. "You really loved that dress, didn't you?" "I did," I said. "But it wasn't meant for a wedding. It was meant for a lesson." She left without another word. And somehow that silence felt like closure, real this time. Life moved on in gentle waves. I opened a small bridal art studio, Threaded Truth. Clients came not just for dresses, but for meaning stitched into every design. Each gown had a story, a reminder that beauty born from pain lasts longer. One evening, as I was locking up, a young bride came in holding her mother's tattered veil. "Can you fix it?" she asked. I smiled. "I can make it honest." She watched me pin lace under soft light, whispering, "You're the woman from that story, aren't you?" "I guess I am," I said. "You must hate your sister." I shook my head. "No. She's the reason I became this version of myself. Sometimes pain's the push we didn't know we needed." She smiled. "Then maybe mine will be too." I worked late that night, the needle's rhythm steady, like a heartbeat mending what life had torn. A year later, I stood alone by the lake where I used to dream of my own wedding. The sun dipped low, turning the water gold. I wore a new dress I'd made, simple, elegant, free. No initials. No ghosts. My phone buzzed with a message from Mia. "I saw your new collection. It's beautiful. I'm proud of you." I didn't reply right away. I just smiled at the reflection of myself in the water, calm, whole, finally unshadowed. People think revenge is about breaking someone else. It isn't. It's about rebuilding yourself in the wreckage they left behind and letting them see what you became. I turned off my phone and walked away from the lake, the fabric of my dress catching the evening light. And somewhere behind me, the storm that once defined me finally went quiet.